Just a reminder, you can catch me recording this podcast live on AMP. AMP is a new live radio app that lets you call in and chat with me in person while recording. Get the app on Apple's App Store and make sure you follow me at John Middlekauff to get notified when I go live. Okay, Thursday Night Football, which on paper doesn't look great, right? The 49ers are a 10-point favorite. The Giants are missing Saquon Barkley. They're missing, Thomas, their offensive lineman. They got several guys out. They are expected to not just lose, but to lose big. I'm going to say a couple things about the 49ers. And one thing in general, and I'm guilty of this. I promise you I am. Is I say this all the time late in the season, like we worry way too much, and it's my job to say what happened and give opinions on the games. But Thursday night, Kyle Shanahan talked about this at his press conference on Tuesday, how insane this week is. He said the first time he saw the players was, after they fly back from LA, was on Tuesday, like a little before lunch, and they give him the game plan, and they go into a meeting. And he said, guys, when we come out, today is Wednesday on a normal week, and when we come out of this meeting, it'll be Thursday. And then by the time we go to walkthrough, it'll essentially be Friday. That's how fast this week is going. Like, it's not normal. Football is a lot like the military. It's very regimented, and every single week is set to a T, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from game plan handout to what you do at practice on Wednesday, what you do on practice on Thursday, red zone, third down, whatever. It's all very similar team to team. But Thursday, and listen, I'm not anti-Thursday night football, right? It doesn't necessarily impact me. It's actually good for my job because it gives me another night to react to games. And as the Kelsey brothers said on their podcast, it's actually good the moment you win that game because you get a mini bye. And financially, it's been very rewarding for everyone involved in the NFL, players, owners, and coaches. They're all making more money because these networks are paying more money, i.e. Amazon, for this package. But this week, and I got to be very careful of doing this. Like last week when we reacted to the Eagles, who did not look great, the difference, though, I would say on early Thursday night games is that like Kyle Shanahan and Brian Daboll, just like last week, Sirianni and O'Connell, had been preparing for that opponent since the summer. If your first Thursday night game is week 10, you're not preparing in the offseason for that Thursday night game, right? Because think how much stuff is going to change through the first 9 games of the season. So you do get a big advantage from a coaching staff standpoint playing that first game. Obviously, from a player standpoint, you have a little less wear and tear on your body. But I think we got to be careful about overreacting to the games. I do think it was fair last week with the Eagles because it had been the same thing week 1 when you'd had all off season to get ready for the Patriots, right? The offense looked a little off. But ultimately, the goal of this game, and obviously the NFL is a lot different in college, no style points, just win the freaking game, right? The Giants, the only thing anyone will remember if they end up going 10-7 is that they beat Arizona. Not that they were down 20-0, not that they came storming back and scored, 31 points in the second half. They won the freaking game. So if you win a Thursday night game, especially as a road team, incredible accomplishment. The later in the season it goes, you could win the game 2-0. That's the only goal. The one thing with the 49ers, though, is last week, Christian McCaffrey did not come out of the game. Literally every other offensive star on the Niners constantly rotates. Kittle comes out of the game. Obviously, Debo and Ayuk come out of the game. Obviously, offensive linemen stay in the whole time. But McCaffrey never came out of the game. No one else got another carry. And I do wonder if there's part of Kyle Shanahan that wants to get Christian McCaffrey the MVP. And I would say early in the season, there are a couple guys, non-quarterbacks, and we know how difficult that can be, that just have a chance. I don't want to say you'd feel good about it, but I would say Christian McCaffrey and Micah Parsons, given the years they are trending to have, the amount of touchdowns McCaffrey is going to score, the amount of primetime games and bright light plays he's going to make, Micah Parsons feels like he's headed for 25 sacks and 58 TFLs and maybe a pick and a bunch of fumble returns. His year could be awesome. Both those guys which usually defensive player of the year and offensive player of the year, I do think could get their way into the MVP conversation. And I'd put them in right away, right? But you got to do it a little longer. And it's very difficult because quarterbacks typically win it, right? They actually always win it. I do wonder if Kyle Shanahan has to balance. Listen, McCaffrey, the moment the 49ers got him, it's one of the great trades I remember. And I thought it was kind of crazy at first. Second, a third, and a fourth for a running back who's been banged up a lot. He's been fucking fantastic. He's been unstoppable. I tweeted out on Sunday when they were playing the Rams, is this what it felt like to watch Walter Payton? I mean, he's breaking tackles. He's running around guys. He's freaking awesome. But you do have to conserve him for the long haul. And you have a guy, Elijah Mitchell, who a couple years ago ran for almost 1,000 yards as like a 6th-round rookie. Like, you have other players on your team that I don't know can give the guy a breather. So Kyle Shanahan, I understand what he's saying. Thursday night games, pretty unfair to everyone involved, though everyone benefits that is involved financially. I do think he has to, because listen, Sean McVay with running backs will kick them to the curb so fast your head will spin. Love Todd Gurley when he was running around people and running by people. The moment that knee got a little bulky, threw him in the trash. Cam Akers felt like he loved him. Last year they started butting heads. All offseason loved each other again. Now they're trying to trade him. Clearly nobody wants him. McVay turns on running backs. Kyle Shanahan gets a running back. He's going to ride that guy into the ground. Luckily for McCaffrey, he's a great player. So if he is going to ride you, your numbers are going to be awesome. This is a guy with injury history, man. And if the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl, because that's their goal right now, not to get there, not to get back to the NFC Championship game, is to be the 1 seed and win the Super Bowl. Especially Kyle. Like, think of the coaches that he's compared to. Sean McVay, his big rival. He's beat him like 8 straight games in the regular season. It doesn't matter because, or 9, because Sean McVay beat him in the most important game they've ever played. That was the NFC Championship game, and then went on to win the Super Bowl. And it feels like Kyle Shanahan, if he doesn't win it and doesn't win it soon, and this year it feels like, I don't want to say it's on a platter for him, but he's clearly one of the 3 or 4 best teams. He's going to start kind of that early career Andy Reid, right? Now, that clearly aged pretty well, and anyone that was around Andy knew he was destined to win big, and when it's all said and done, he might have 4 Super Bowls. But you could argue that some of these teams are every bit as good as some of those Eagles teams, if not better. So there's a lot of pressure, not just on Thursday night at home as a 10-point favorite, but just in general. Like, Kyle's got to get it done. And this year is shaping up to be as good as any.